You there, Angel?
Yes.
Hey, what's going on?
Having it the best day ever. Let
That's
me
right.
let me close the other window here. I was just sending you an email.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
Can you see me? Can you see me good?
I can. Can you? Am I looking all right?
Yes, you are.
Awesome.
You
Awesome.
are. Let me take this out here. Okay. Your image is kind of to the side for some reason.
Oh, is it? Let me
Yeah.
try this. I have it on my phone. I was trying to do it horizontally. How's that?
Oh, perfect.
Good?
Perfect.
Awesome. All right.
Well, hi everyone. If you are joining us live, please enter your name in the chat. That way Moose and I can say hi. Also, leave your question if you have any questions. I see that Melvin put a question already, and I have some additional questions, Moose, that I would like to shoot your way if that is possible.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Welcome. Thank you for
Thank
giving me
you.
your time and sharing your time with everybody here. Can
I'm super pumped. I know that I've been kind of following you from a distance, and your energy and positivity is always on fire. So I'm excited.
Thank you. Moose, can you share a little bit about yourself for those that don't know who you are?
Yeah, I'm just a dad. I'm a regular guy. I have three boys under the age of 5, and we actually have another one on the way. So the household is very busy. Yep, yep. And my wife does an amazing job kind of steering the ship and keeping everybody afloat. I've got a passion for photography, always have. And that's probably why I'm here today, is to kind of talk to you a little bit about my business and kind of how I started things. And it all kind of revolves around that photography element.
You say you have a passion for photography. So if I ask you what you are really good at, you say taking pictures or you say something else?
Yeah, I would say definitely that. I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm the best photographer. I think that any good photographer will tell you that they're always learning. And I think that's one of my favorite things about photography, is that it's a continual learning process. You get to experiment and try new things. And when I first started with photography, I was really interested in like landscapes and architecture. This is before kids. And then when kids started coming around, then all of that changed. And it was like, now I'm more interested in portraits and capturing moments and things like that. And so I think probably one of the things that I'm good at is being able to relate to people. Being a dad and kind of knowing how life can be and how busy things are, I think that I've got a skill at being able to communicate to people on a authentic, real world level. There's a lot of great teachers out there that can get really in depth. That's something that I can't do. So I think probably one of my best skill sets is being able to just relate to the human, the regular guy. And so, yeah.
I have to agree there with you. I came across you through your website, Camera Tips,
Awesome.
and I got some cheat sheets for my D5300, the 35 mil lens, and the 140. And then I found you on YouTube, and then I watched your videos, all your videos. So
Awesome.
they can relate. I can relate. They're not. It's like you said, you can connect with people. So how do you get started? How you got started with YouTube?
So one night about 3 years ago, I decided I'm going to create a video for YouTube. And so I set up my camera. I recorded 2 really horrible videos of like my hands holding a camera. The audio was really bad. The lighting was really bad. And that whole experience of creating those videos, it took me like 4 hours to do like one take on each one, because I didn't want to edit. I just wanted to be able to do it all in one take, put an intro and an outro and upload it. So I did that, and that whole process kind of scared me off. I'm naturally kind of shy and introverted, and so creating a video even just by myself was like really nerve-wracking. And so I put it off for like 2 years, and then I started realizing that more and more people are consuming content through video on YouTube and Facebook, and more so than say going to a blog or going to a website and reading a long article. And realizing that, I had to come to terms like this is where the world is going. And so I buckled down. During the fall of 2015, I did a lot of research trying to figure out what equipment I need, and that part's kind of fun because it's like you get to get new gear, but then you get it all set up and you sit in front of the camera and that fear comes like right back. And so about a year ago, January 1st, 2016, I started officially a YouTube channel where I would upload videos once a week, and I forced myself to publish something every week, being consistent. And I kind of learned as I went. The first videos were pretty bad and a little slow, and the audio, was off, and the lighting was off, and all that. So I had to kind of learn as I went. But that was really the best way, I think, because it's pretty easy to get fearful and to not do something because you can't figure something out. So yeah, that's how I got started.
So you got started, and when you decided that, okay, this is because you have a business, this is, the cheat, I'm assuming the cheat cards, everybody wants to save time and money, and especially when it comes to taking video and picture.
Right.
We want to learn yesterday, and that's just how it is. We don't want to mess with all the controls. And how you decided that YouTube was right for you? Because running a business takes time.
Yeah. I think when I realized that YouTube was kind of the platform to really build on was when I realized that creating a piece of content, whether it's in written form or in video form, that with the video side of things, you're able to connect with people on a different level than written word. Written word, it's really hard to like relate to people. They can't necessarily see you, they can't hear your voice. And so when I started getting comments from people, I remember one in particular. It was like a mom. This was one of my early videos, and she was really struggling with taking pictures of her kids. And one of the videos that I had helped her, and she started taking better pictures and being able to capture memories better. And I think realizing that I'm number one, getting a reply back from somebody in the world who took the time to watch my video, to know that I'm actually helping somebody, really, really meant a lot. And I think that's kind of where I saw the value in YouTube, is being able to connect through the lens to somebody else and basically kind of form a relationship in some way. And over the last year, I've actually made lots of friends that beyond the business side of things that I wouldn't have been possible without YouTube.
So now I do designing, I maintain sites, and I have to ask you, if I'm putting a lot of time into YouTube like you are,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, you say you're uploading once a week and you're uploading on Thursdays?
Yeah, I kind of experimented between Wednesday and Thursday. That seemed to be kind of the sweet spot. I'm on Thursday right now, just trying to see how well it fits into people's schedule and kind of how well videos do on certain times. And that's a really important thing for anybody, is to kind of experiment with different times. I used to publish videos on Monday morning, and that was just not the right choice. People are busy, they're like starting their week. And later on in the week, like Wednesday, Thursday, maybe even Friday is probably a good day to try uploading videos.
Any time in specific?
Yeah, I think that for me here in the central time zone, what I want to do is target people in the UK and people in Australia. And so what I figured out is in order to target all of those 3 time zones is to publish around 2 to 3 p.m. Central Time in America. What that does is I think it gets the video out to UK people around, I think it's like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So they may be in bed on their phone. And then for Australia, those people are just waking up. So it's like around 7 to 8 a.m. So that's kind of the best way to hit all 3 English, demographics at the same time.
That's a good way to think about it. I did my search about what's the best time to publish. I use a software called TubeBuddy to see if but sometimes I wonder where and how they get those stats, or they analyze the users. And when YouTube is telling me that the majority of people that watch my videos are not subscribers, and they're analyzing, it's an excellent question. It's a good test to do, to think about who's your audience, who you're trying to target, and what are their time zones. So that's a great tip right there. Doing videos, have you seen a increase in sales by you doing the videos?
Yeah, definitely. Really, I think what the videos do is it puts a real person behind the product. So whatever you're selling, or if you have a service, it's really important for people to see like the human element behind it. If I'm going to take my car somewhere and I go to websites of car mechanics locally, and all I see are just stock photos, that doesn't really hit home. But then I see maybe one website where there's a picture of the owner with his family, and that immediately draws like that human connection. And so I think that's kind of where videos have, at least on my end, I've seen a real spike. And I think that's because people can see me, they can say, okay, this is a real person, it's not just some random guy. And so yeah, I've definitely seen that. I try not to push it too much in my videos as far as selling. I'd rather somebody just kind of discover it on their own. So I try to stay away from that. I probably should maybe incorporate it a little bit more, but I just want to be careful about not going, overselling. I want to be able to provide them value, and if they like what I have to say, then a lot of people will take the time to dive in a little bit deeper. Maybe they'll go to your Facebook page or their Instagram, and eventually they'll stumble upon whatever it is that you're selling.
That's a good way to see it. I was brought up into the you always, the ABC, but today it's more like always be helping mentality, and that's how I learned. But whatever works for you, if it's working, why not? That's the formula. What advice can you share, or can you give somebody that is brand new that wants to start an online business?
I think my number one advice would be to be patient and to be authentic. A lot of people, at least friends and family that I have, there's this mentality of getting there instantly. And if you don't see results after a couple months or even a year, to just kind of give up or stop being consistent and all of that kind of thing. I think with any business, a successful business, it takes a lot of time, and a lot of people don't have the time to invest for the long term. And so I think that would be my number one advice, is just to be patient. And when you don't see results initially, don't get discouraged. I think the other element to that is just being authentic. If you come across as someone that you're not, it's going to be really evident. And so I think it's just important to just be yourself, and take your time, learn along the way, learn what works, learn what your audience likes. And there's a lot of ways that you can engage with them, not necessarily through YouTube, but through other social media platforms, and find out what they like and try to tailor your videos to them, because they're the ones who are supporting you. They're the ones who are sharing your content. they're really the ones that are helping you grow. So I usually take inventory every, month or so, asking people like, what are you guys looking for? What direction should I take things? And I'm really fluid with that kind of thing. So
it's interesting that you said that. Okay, so 2 questions. And let me, so you mentioned sometimes people don't have time. So time is always either time or money or resource is always an issue. And you said that you take inventory and you ask people questions. So let me ask you about the time. So what would be a good tip or a good advice for somebody that is working a 9 to 5 that has maybe an hour, sometimes can squeeze to a father, a husband, 2 kids, 9 to 5, you have to, dinner, shower the kids, home with the kids, and then, you stay up late and you're tired. Either you wake up early or you stay up late, but you want to make it happen. What would be the advice? How can you stay consistent how can you, I don't know, what would be your advice?
Yeah, I can totally relate. I'm a graphic designer by trade. In college, I studied photography and graphic design. Immediately after college, I began work as a graphic designer. And so I had the 8 to 5 job every day. And Camera Tips, my side business, was something I did in my free time, which, as a dad, there's not a lot of free time. And so what I had to learn is, in the beginning, when things you're getting everything started, you have to create margin in your day somehow. And so for me, that was early morning. So I hate getting up early. I hate it. I despise it. But in the beginning, I realized that was the only time of day that I could wake up. Things were quiet. I could focus. I could get some stuff done. And so I would wake up at 5 a.m. every day and put in time to grow the website and create new content and do all of that. And what's great about today is that you can create content early in the morning, even if it's not in the right time zone, and then publish it later on during that day. So if you get a little break at work, or there's even tools that allow you to publish things later on. Even with YouTube, you can create a video early in the morning and then publish it later. So you just have to figure out what time of day works best for you. Some people like working late at night. So kind of find that good time frame for you. And then honestly, you just have to put in the effort and the work to be consistent every day, even when you're tired and you're not seeing the results, because I was there. I went through a long period of time where I didn't get much traffic to my website, but I think what kept me going was that I have a passion for photography. So even if I helped a couple people, that was all that I really cared about at the time. I didn't even think about honestly making money with it. I went for a number of years without having anything to sell on my website. So I didn't go into it with a mentality of I had this product and I need to sell it right away and I need to make money right now. I still had my job, and Camera Tips was my side business that I was sort of growing, but at a slower pace than probably what most people want. So yeah, be patient, work hard, find that little bit of time in the day that you can devote to it, and just keep plugging away.
For me, I think I made the mistake that I stay up too late, but I realized that when I do it in the morning, there were these long periods of time that I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and by 6, whenever I got my kids, I got my kids up at 5:30 and they are ready. I'm cooking breakfast by 6.
Right.
I felt that I accomplished so much and the house was so quiet. I had my cup of coffee. My mind was fresh. But like you said, I think for the longest time, I told myself I'm not a morning person.
Right.
And thinking about it, I'm making the same mistake now. I'm staying up late and waking up at 5:30. I guess I gotta go back. I gotta go back and do it in the morning.
Yeah, everybody's different. I have friends that their brain starts percolating around 10 o'clock. For me, my mind just shuts off. So everybody's a little bit different in that regard. But yeah, I think you just find what works for you.
Also, you said you take inventory every so often and you ask people questions, what they want. What is your process? Because that's key. That's very important. What is your process when it comes to, asking people what they want? Do you message them one by one? Do you send a broadcast email? What is that you do?
Yeah, so I do a number of different things. I have experimented with Facebook Live. That's a really good one where you can basically broadcast to the world live, kind of like what we're doing now, and allow people to come in, ask questions. And by allowing people to ask questions, you can kind of take inventory based on the questions that they're asking. So I kind of, measure it that way. I also get a lot of messages through Facebook, through Instagram, through the direct messages. And so what I'll do there is, again, the questions that I receive sometimes turn into videos. So if I get a question that's repeated over and over and over again, for me, it's a lot easier to create a video on it. And then when I get that question in the future, I can just link to it. So that's kind of how it's kind of a mix, but that's kind of how I take inventory.
What's your number one goal with YouTube?
Honestly, I think if you're going to start a YouTube channel, you have to decide, are you going to help people or are you going to entertain people? And there is kind of that gray area in the middle where you can help people and be entertaining at the same time. And that's probably the best mix if possible. But me, myself, I'm not an entertainer. So I've decided that, for me, my goal with YouTube is to help people and to really be authentic about it and not make it something like I'm just doing this for me and I'm just doing it for my business. Like I'm really in it to help people. And if you go into it with that mentality, like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, I'm going to help one person out there with this one idea or this one thing. What'll happen is if you're really passionate about it and you're really authentic about it, that will spread. People will see that and they'll receive it well. It'll come across really natural. And so that would be my advice, to anybody. If you've got a goal with YouTube, kind of decide which direction you want to take. Obviously, some people out there are more entertaining, and that's definitely an avenue where you can become really popular on YouTube and do a lot of different things. So find what you're good at inside and kind of take that direction. But yeah, for me, it's all about kind of helping people and building a channel around helping people with their passion with photography and learning how to take better pictures and things like that.
Yeah, helping people in an authentic way, just like you mentioned before, I think that's why I like your video so much. Is you're not pushy, you're not cocky, you're not.
Yeah.
You're you, and they're very helpful. The last one, I went out and I got a track just like you did in the video, and I took some pictures, and I'm like, yes, finally I got some lights.
Right.
And it was a great feeling. I want to be a better storyteller through video, but at the same time, I want to help people. So, but taking pictures, I use the pictures for my website. I use the picture for Instagram. So I don't want to take picture for other people, but I want to use the picture for myself. And
Sure.
I think it's like you said, it's not stock photos. You're sharing who you are. So you mentioned sometimes you got up early, created videos, and now that I'm assuming you're full-time with camera tips and YouTube. What is your formula? How you create your videos?
Yeah, that's a good question. 99% of the time they're planned out in advance. So kind of what I'll do is on a Monday, I'll sit down and I'll kind of brainstorm ideas around a central topic. So maybe it's a question that I've been getting over and over and over, and I want to create a video on it. So I'll sit down with like a little whiteboard and I'll just start writing out ideas. And I don't keep all of the ideas. It's just sort of just mind dumping everything out. And then from that, what I'll do is I'll create like a bulleted list of sort of an organized list of talking points or things that I want to touch on. Maybe it's a certain shot of a camera or a certain idea or something to display. And so I kind of itemize that out. And then by Tuesday morning, I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to record, what I'm going to say. And then what I do on Tuesdays, I kind of block out a period of time where I turn off my phone. My wife knows that I'm recording, and sometimes I involve my kids if they feel up to it. I don't force them. So if they're wanting to help dad, they can come help me. But I'll block out that period of time, and then I'll just record. And that can vary how long that takes, depends on the video and what we're talking about. And then usually by Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, I'm finishing the edit, putting all the video together, editing it, and getting it ready. And then my final step is coming up with the title for the video, the thumbnail for the video, both of which are extremely important and are can sometimes take a lot of time to get right, because it's what you're putting out to the world. So you want Google and you want YouTube to find your video. So you want to make sure that you have a title that's not only catchy, but has some keywords in it that will help people find it. And then your thumbnail is important because you want people to see it in the feed, and you want them to stop for a second and click on it. So there's a little bit of, I've experimented with different thumbnail ideas, and I'm still kind of experimenting with that. But that's kind of my process. And then I'll upload the video, usually to either publish on Wednesday or Thursday. And at that time, I'll kind of make an announcement on Facebook and Instagram and kind of get people there.
That's a really good process. I got 2 follow-up questions on that one. What do you use for editing?
I use Adobe Premiere. Yeah, and I actually knew nothing about Premiere a year ago. I actually took like a lynda.com course. Yeah. It was just sort of a beginner's entry-level course to Premiere, and I highly recommend it. I'm pretty sure Lynda still has like their 7-day free trial. So as long as you like watch the course in 7 days, you can watch it for free. So that's definitely what I would recommend if you're getting started. There are some other options out there that I know of, but what's nice about like Adobe is that one, it always works. So if you buy a new computer or you upgrade, like you're not having to worry about the software not being compatible. And it's very powerful if you need it to be, but it's also can be very simplistic. And even for me right now, I know the way I edit is probably not like ideal, but it works for me, and I'm able to do it pretty quickly. But I'm still learning how to do some of the more advanced stuff in Premiere.
Well, your video look amazing, and are you going to create a video tutorial on Adobe Premiere?
Yeah, maybe. I've been getting more and more requests for the video side of things, and honestly, I put it off only because I'm still learning. I'm still brand new to video, at least in my eyes. You know, I'm a year into this as far as kind of learning the gear, learning how to edit, putting it all together, dealing with audio, which is a whole nother animal. And so, yeah, I think once I get to a point where I feel confident enough, and I'm not going to just put something out there that will get a click, I want to make sure that it's helpful. But yeah, eventually.
Title. You have a process to coming up with the title. Do you do any keyword research, or do you go to like Google keywords or BuzzSumo or anything like that to come up with the, ideas?
Yeah. So usually what I do first is I'll come up with 1 or 2 titles on my own without any research. And the only reason I do that is the process of trying to determine the title can get really long if you start doing too much research. So I try to come up with something catchy or something that I would want to click on. And then what I'll do is I'll go to YouTube and I'll just type in sort of the basic keywords. So for instance, last week I posted a tutorial on how to shoot in manual mode on your camera. So I went to YouTube and I typed in manual mode tutorial, and I wanted to see what everybody else used. And so I kind of picked a couple keywords from different videos that I saw that would kind of maybe help the video show up for that type of keyword search. I know there are other tools out there that can kind of help determine that. I know for me, what works well is to put the most important keywords towards the front of the title or the beginning of the title. So if you've got a tutorial, try to get the meat of those keywords towards the front versus the end. Yeah, that's kind of how I do it.
One thing that you're doing that I am definitely not doing, and I'm going to start doing, is the biggest problem I've been having is staying consistent. I put taking care of at least uploading videos. So I stayed up last night updating 25 pages for a client that is in Puerto Rico and a website. And the night before it was another website, and I haven't recorded.
Yeah.
And sometimes, yes, I can record something with the front-facing camera, but it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts. And, you know, we tell people that technology, and which is true, technology doesn't matter. It's your content, but for some reason, it still hurts. But what you're doing is you're letting your people know that the video is coming live at this time. So that is that make an announcement. That's something that if you don't mind, I'm going to copy from now on, and I'm going to start doing. I'm going to upload. I'm committing myself to upload one next Thursday, and I'm going to test that out. I test Mondays and Tuesdays. I haven't tested Wednesdays, and Mondays and Tuesdays not the result that I was expecting. Even though that TubeBuddy is telling me that Mondays and Tuesdays are my days.
Gotcha.
12 a.m. London time. So let's see how that works. Now, when it comes to YouTube, what is the most challenging thing that you've found when you create, you know, either creation or, you know, the title? What's the most challenging part of the YouTube videos?
By far, talking to your camera like it's your friend. That to me is like the hardest thing that I am still learning how to do. It's really easy in the beginning to get you know, camera fright, looking into the camera, into the dark abyss. But learning like how to stare at your camera like it's your best buddy, and just trying to like relax, imagining it as a real person. That's really the hardest part. But I think if you, over time, the more and more you do it, it definitely becomes more second nature, becomes easier, and it definitely will help your videos feel more authentic. The more time you put in front of the lens, the more authentic you start to feel, or more natural you start to feel. But that definitely is something that's challenging, even for me. If I take a break, like for Christmas, I took like a 2 or 3 week break from videos. And so when I came back, it was like, I almost had to like get back into the gear again and like, okay, who's this lens? Like I have to like get into that mentality. Like, this is my friend. I'm going to talk to it. like I love it. So yeah, I think that's a really important thing to practice and to learn. And you can tell like people who've been in front of the camera for a long time, they can talk through the lens right to you. Like they're staring right into your own eyes, and they're talking right to you. And that technique is something that's learned over time, of just practicing sitting in front of the camera and talking. But yeah, that's definitely the most challenging thing for sure.
Do you catch yourself looking at the LCD?
Yes. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is trying not to take your eyes off the lens and not looking at the LCD screen staring back at you. I do it all the time. In fact, the video that I just uploaded, I caught myself a few times looking at the LCD screen. So
it's just here. So just even right now, I position the window here so I can see you. My video, the webcam is there. I normally record on the laptop, but my MacBook went to sleep, and it's not waking up. So I got an appointment tomorrow in the Apple store to see if they can help me.
Yeah.
So I'm recording in the iMac today. Now, early you mentioned, so yeah, I can catch myself looking down and the camera is here. So maybe I got to find a better way to position the camera. But you mentioned that you make an announcement, to a pre-announcement that saying your YouTube videos is coming up. What else do you do to promote your videos that you can share or you're willing to share?
Yeah, no, I mean, probably the way that I've found that's probably most effective, at least right now, currently, is probably Instagram stories. And what I'll do there is I'll kind of do a maybe behind the scenes, or I'll do kind of like added value to the video. So I'll maybe post like a couple snippets of me talking about something in the video, or add something to it, where basically the only way that people can see that is by going to Instagram and, like, you know, following me and then seeing that. So it gives them some incentive. And from what I've seen, there's a lot of engagement there. So people will sit and kind of watch those little 10-second, 15-second videos. And it's a good way to kind of promote the video that you just published. And then people can then, you know, go to your Instagram profile and click on the YouTube link. So every week I update the link in my profile to point to my most recent video. So I see a lot of traffic through that. And I would say that's probably the #1 way. Because on Facebook, I actually upload the video there rather than pointing to YouTube. So I don't necessarily, you know, promote YouTube too much on Facebook.
Yeah, so Instagram, that's another thing that Instagram stories, that's another thing I have stayed away from. I just, the other day, just because I'm not going too often, the other day I just noticed the live feature. So that's pretty cool as well. I guess I got to play with that this weekend. Minimum by Thursday next week when I publish my next video. Now, if you have somebody following you around all day, all the time, what would you have them do?
By far, I would have them record my life, because there are lots of moments as a dad where either I don't have a camera or I'm behind the camera. So I don't always get to like be in the shot or, you know, be involved with something because I'm taking pictures. So I think it'd be really cool to have somebody follow me. I'm sure you know Gary Vaynerchuk. He kind of has recently started a series where someone kind of follows him throughout the day, and that's kind of his daily vlog. I wouldn't necessarily do it to promote myself or anything like that. It would be just for personal reasons, like to have something at the end of the day where I could see all the little moments with my kids and not have to be the one recording it, you know, not having to be the one doing
enjoying
all the work. Enjoying it.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, that's a pretty cool way to look at it. I catch my kid, my oldest one, looking at my videos quite often, and it just makes me happy. It puts a smile in my face, and I don't tell him. And sometimes we go back to, we use the Apple TV. We you know, just through the iPhones and everything else. We go back and see the pictures of our vacations and everything we've done, and I see their smile. So yes, sometimes like you said, I also want to be in front of the camera. So I probably would do something similar as well. Now, talking about early, you mentioned that one of the fun parts of starting out was buying gear, buying new stuff. What is the best thing you've bought, or in your opinion, you know, for you in the last couple months?
Let me see. Actually, I'm sitting in my equipment room here. Let's see if I can find it. All right. So there's basically two things. This is pretty basic, but it's a adapter for the iPhone. They make something similar for Android phones too, but this allows you to basically plug your SD card directly into your phone. What I like about it is, sure, there are a lot of cameras that have that Wi-Fi functionality, but the processing, like getting it set up and paired and transferred over, like that whole thing just takes way too long. With this, I can like pop out my memory card, put it in my phone, and in like 30 seconds transfer, 30 photos that I want to, play with on my phone. So it's a really sort of painless, I can stay connected to the internet. Like I don't have to go through all that mess. So I usually actually keep this in my back pocket. And if I'm out and about and I want to put something on my phone, I'll throw it in there. Or if my wife's with me, it'll go in her purse. But yeah, this is a really cool adapter. And I think this was like 20 or 30 bucks, but definitely well worth it. This one here, I think you actually have this.
Yes.
It's little Joby micro tripod.
Yes.
And I have these on all of my cameras. So I have like a compact camera. I have my DSLR. I just leave them on because you never know, like when you'll run into a situation where you want to, steady the camera or maybe be in the shot with your family. You could set this up on a table somewhere, put it down, and then take a shot with the family. So they're really, really tiny and they work really well. So yeah, I would say those two pieces of gear in the past year I've used the most. I'm sure there's some other stuff that's more expensive and high tech, but those are really cheap and really useful. So
yeah, the tripod's been a very convenient. It's so small, and I use it quite often. Now, as you can see, I have a few books back there. What is one book, in your opinion, that anybody should have in their bookshelf?
Okay, so I came prepared for this one. If you're a parent, it's Goodnight Moon.
Goodnight Moon.
Yeah, this definitely puts your kids to sleep. I have 3 kids, and it's worked for all of them. You can tell, like, we have it all taped. It's been through a number of years of service, but it works really well. But more seriously, I highly recommend for people to purchase a book by an artist. So whatever you're interested in, whether it's like painting or photography, quilting, whatever it is, if there's an artist that is kind of, a master at what they do, it's really, really interesting to find out, one, their process, to be able to see their art and to see how they create things is really inspiring, and it gives you ideas. The one that I got recently is by Don Com, and it's a book about these incredible snowflakes that he captures up in Canada. And this guy is like a mad scientist when it comes to photography. He's always trying these unique things. And so what he'll do is he'll actually catch a snowflake with a little black glove. And then he only has like 2 minutes to capture like these incredible photos of snowflakes. And he shares kind of his process, and like some of these things are just ridiculous. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, but I just like being able to like unplug your mind for a little bit, to go through some of the work that an artist, here's like another one here, just to appreciate the artwork from someone who's like a master at something. I think what that does is it really kind of makes you realize that like a final piece of work takes time. In order for him to create one photo of a snowflake, he actually has to take like 100 separate photos of the same snowflake and then stitch them together so that it's completely in focus. And the whole process takes him like 24 hours of editing to create one photograph. And I think what's important, at least for me, when I see something like that, is to realize that if you're going to put something out into the world, like a video or anything for your business, if it's a product, to really put forth the effort that a master might put into their work of art. And I'm very visual, so like being able to like kick back and look at images like that, it's very inspiring, and it gets my creative juices flowing. And I think even as a business person, we use that one side of our brains almost too much. And I think getting over to that creative side of the brain where you get those juices flowing a little bit. It kind of evens your brain out and allows you to kind of think of new things. So definitely, if you haven't, I don't know if I mentioned the title, but it's called Sky Crystals, Unraveling the Mysteries of Snowflakes. That's just one example, but it's by Don Com. And he actually, on his Facebook page, he's been sharing these crazy photos of capturing like frozen soap bubbles up in Canada, and he does these amazing, crazy experiments. And so, if you're interested in that kind of thing, definitely check him out.
Have you been to Canada?
I haven't. It's definitely on my bucket list, especially for like landscape photography. There's so many opportunities up there. I imagine once the kids are old enough, we can travel well with them. It's definitely going to be in the plans for sure.
Are you an Android or iPhone guy?
I started out Android and then I gave in to iPhone because everybody else in my family had an iPhone and they would send me videos and it wouldn't really work. So yeah, right now iPhone.
If you had to delete all but 3 apps in your phone, which ones would you keep?
Definitely a camera app. I'd have to keep that for sure. And then I'd probably also keep Facebook and Instagram for business related reasons. I use those quite often for, promoting stuff and posting things. And so I'd probably have to live with those 3.
Right now, who's involved in your business? You and your wife, or do you mainly by yourself?
Yeah, it's mainly me right now. My wife does kind of help with managing comments or helping me with some of the clerical work. So she does help with a lot of that kind of stuff. But as far as the creation of content and all that, it's all just a one-man operation, and at least for the time being, that's what it's going to be.
What are you excited most right now for? What's going on in the business or in YouTube or in your life that you're excited the most right now for?
Well, other than the new baby coming up, probably just the world of photography. The technology is constantly advancing. I know some people have like the new iPhone that's got this depth effect or the portrait mode. There's just so many cool things like with drones, and it's just every year it seems like there's something groundbreaking when it comes to imagery and video. So I'm excited to see where we're going to be in like 5 years. I'm hoping that, like we kind of talked about earlier, that they'll come up with some sort of like mini drone that can follow you around all day and like edit your life and put it all together in a fun video at the end of the day. I think that would be really cool. I know Snapchat, they've got some crazy glasses that you can put on and document your day. And so, yeah, I think that whole world is really interesting to me. I listen to a couple podcasts that kind of talk about technology and where things are headed. But yeah, I think that's the thing I'm most excited about.
Do you have a drone?
Not yet, but I'm very close to pulling the trigger. I think I'm going to go with that. I think it's the DJI Mavic Pro. It's a really small, compact drone. I think that makes the most sense for me. And it's, from what I've seen, you can actually like put it in a really big like jacket pocket. So I think being able to have something like that on the go, I have ideas about doing some videos kind of out and about outside. And I think that would kind of add a new interesting angle to the videos and kind of draw people in.
I tried to order one, but they would not in the US store because I didn't want to pay for the pounds, the conversion, but they would not ship to my military box. So I'm going back in May. So I'm getting a Mavic Pro in May. But I do have the old version of the Phantom. So I do some of them. The last one I tried was the DJI Osmo, and that's pretty good. I like that one.
I've seen those. Those look really cool.
Do you have a few minutes to answer questions that came in later?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
So we have one in the chat that says, question for Moose, how often do you clean your camera lens and sensors?
Probably not often, not as often as I should. But generally what I'll do is, like, if I'm gonna record, I'll just do a quick check on my lenses to make sure there's like a big fingerprint or some dirt on there. But I would say like maybe once a year, I kind of do like a deep clean. Like I'll set everything down and I'll take like an hour to like really like clean everything out and get it all looking good again. But for maintaining or just shooting regularly, I don't clean all that often. It's more or less when I notice it, like maybe in my photos or my video, I see a big glob somewhere. But yeah, that's about kind of my process.
I saw a video where you were, you had this air pump,
Yeah.
and I bought one after that, and I haven't cleaned my sensors since I bought my camera, so I guess I should. Yeah, that's
I tend to stay away from sensor cleaning unless I see something on the final result, because I know I used to be really like careful about that. Like I would go in and like clean the sensor and try to do all that, but you can actually like introduce so much more dust and stuff by doing that. So I try to just change my lenses quickly, and if I notice something on my sensor, then I'll take the time to try to clean that or get it off with some air.
Here's another one. Do you ever refer back to your own cheat cards, or are the settings saved in your head?
For the most part, they're saved in my head, and that's only because of just years and years and years of practice and kind of knowing how to set something up for a certain shot. But the cheat cards really kind of focus on everyday scenarios. So there's a lot of situations where I'm experimenting with different types of photography, and I actually need to reference Google or YouTube. In fact, recently I posted a photo to Facebook and Instagram. It's called, it's actually a technique by a wedding photographer. It's, I think, Ryan Brenzier, and it's called the Brenzier method. And it's a process where you take multiple photos of a subject with a really low aperture to get kind of that blurry background. And then you stitch all the photos together, and it almost creates like this miniature effect. So I took this photo of a tree at my local state park right along the water, and it's about a 20-foot tree. And so I took about 30 photos. Basically, you take pictures of the entire tree and then kind of the area surrounding the tree. And then with Photoshop, you merge them all together, and it creates this like really surreal, magical miniature look. And it's really interesting. But I had to do like a lot of research on the settings and how I was going to set up my camera and do all of that right beforehand. So like I said earlier, any good photographer, they'll tell you that they don't know everything, and there's definitely scenarios that I have to question, like how to do something. So constantly learning for sure.
Here's the next one. You're going on vacation. What lenses do you take with you, and why?
It depends on where I'm going and what I'm doing. If I'm with family, I like to travel as light and compact as possible. I know there's kind of the idea of like, I want to have every lens for every situation, but for me, like with family, I want to make sure that I can take good pictures of moments, like whether it's their face or their hands or something that they're doing. And so what I'll usually do with family is I'll use like a wide prime lens. So we went to Disneyland recently. I used like this 35mm f2 lens, and it was perfect. It's really compact, and I was able to capture pictures in low light, in bright light. I was able to get photos where I could blur the background or not blur the background. You have a lot of creative control. But if I'm like gonna go on to a national park, then I'll probably bring like a wide angle lens, a super wide angle lens, like a Sigma 10-20, where I can capture like a really big expanse of sky and foreground. If I'm going on a safari, then I'm gonna probably bring something like a Sigma 150-600, where I can zoom in really, really far and capture wildlife. So it really does depend. And that's the great thing about DSLRs, is that you have the freedom to buy the lens or use the lens that suits your shooting style and the thing that you like to do. Whereas like an iPhone, you're really limited on being able to zoom and do different things. So
Are you going on a safari?
No, I'd love to, but I get a lot of questions, and I used to back in the day be really interested in like taking pictures of birds and wildlife, and so I have some experience with it, but I've never been. Have you? Have you ever been?
No, not me. Now I know who sent this. The next question. He has a Nikon 7000, and he said, if you had a choice, oh, if you had a choice, better a 50 mil 1.8 and a 35 mil 1.8, which one would you choose and why?
So I would say for most people in the real world, the 35 makes the most sense. And the reason I say that is a lot of people like to use that kind of lens in low light. Same thing with the 50. But the nice thing about the 35 is it's a little wider. So if you're in a bedroom or a smaller space, you're able to still capture the subject. Whereas with the 50, it's a little long. So you might like find yourself like up against the wall trying to like, get the subject in the frame. But outdoors, I actually really like the 50 because it gives you a little bit more background blur because of compression. And, but yeah, it really does depend. But I'd say for most people, the 30, I'd lean more towards the 35. But if you do a lot of like outdoor portraits, I love the 50. So it kind of goes both ways.
One more question here. It's a couple more, but I don't want to abuse your time. The last one that I would like to, that it was submitted, said, how much do you know how much to charge for photo shoots? Do you do photo shoots? I didn't ask you that question.
Yeah, I used to way back in the day. I experimented with a lot of different things when I first kind of got started in photography. I actually did back before DSLRs were kind of common for moms and dads. I actually did some high school shooting. So I would take pictures of sports, and then we would sell those photos to parents. So, in a situation where it's really hard for a parent to capture photos. And so we did that for a little while. But for photo shoots, what I would do, number one, I have a lot of friends that do that. The best way to get started is first to do it for free and do it with friends and family, because you can practice, you can learn how to compose the subject and figure out the right type of light. You can also find really good scenes in your local area, like find good backdrops and things like that. After you've kind of experimented with all of that, then what's good about practicing with family and friends is they can be your word of mouth. So when you're ready, you say, hey, I'm a photographer. I'm currently offering a package. And what I would probably do, $100 is a good way to start. I think that a lot of families can afford that, like a $99 package to take pictures, a bunch of family photos and portraits and things like that. Maybe like a 1 or 2 hour session. And then you edit those photos and you give it to them, and that's a good way to get started. And then over time, you can slowly increase your price as you get more and more word out. But I would definitely start low. Don't try to outprice yourself too high. I also wouldn't shoot for free forever. You definitely want to take that leap once you feel comfortable enough.
That's excellent. Moose, I really, really, really appreciate your time.
Of course.
Where can people find more about you? I'm sure you mentioned Instagram, Facebook, and we talked about your website, but if you don't mind sharing those links or names again, it will be awesome.
Yeah. Website is just cameratips.com, and you can find me on pretty much the major social networks at Moose Winans, WINANS, and if you just need to Google it, you can just go to Google and type in Moose photo or Moose camera, and I'm sure you'll stumble upon either the website or any of the social media accounts. So, but yeah, this was great, Angel. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
I like watching you from a distance, and I'll keep following you and seeing everything that you're doing and putting out positivity into the world. So
thank you. Likewise. Thank you. Bye-bye, Moose.
All righty, buddy.
Thank you.
Alrighty,
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.